the house, the one they talking about, word of mouth. The boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Welcome. This is Sakura A and Emilio Santana.
What's up, y'all?
And of course, you're watching Boxing PlayHouse After Dark series. And tonight we have another 2022 class inductee from the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, Shannon the Cannon Briggs. And then, of course, you know we've got to talk about the fight week of all fight weeks into the lead up to this weekend's Gervonta Tank Davis bout versus Romero. That's right, you're rolling this. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our hot topics tonight and just wait for our champ to show up. Let's go, champ, right?
Let's go.
So basically, we've got the fight this weekend that's going to be amazing. And we're going to talk about that in a hot second. However, we still had fights this weekend. I mean, briefly, very briefly, just tell us what you thought of Benavidez versus David Lemieux.
Well, the fight played out like I thought it would. You know, I thought David Lemieux was, out of his element, out of his range or whatever, going up to 168 pounds. I think David Lemieux best days was like at junior middleweight, 154-pound, weight class. So,
right.
What happened is what I expected. I felt like David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, as he's been nicknamed by Mike Tyson, felt like he was too big, too strong, and he just did, he just did what he wanted to basically with Lemieux. So, it happened just like I thought. What was it, 3 or 4 rounds, and it was over with.
Yes, of course, it was that type of fight in which we could definitely tell that size played a major difference in the fight, especially when you just think about the size. I mean, you can't take away from the fact that Benavidez is very skilled and very quick for his weight class. That's true. But then we also have to look at the fact that he was fighting one of the only opponents that apparently would take this bout right now, right then, and that was David Lemieux. So shout out to David Lemieux for going up those 2 weight classes. Yes, I know he was just at middleweight. Yes, I know he moved up to 168, but we all know that he was really winning and at his best when he was a 154-pounder, in my opinion. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Danny Santiago from the Latin America podcast version of our show.
Danny.
Thanks so much.
Bam, right there.
Yes. And his opinion on the fight is Lemieux got...
What Danny say? What's up, Rob? I see you.
A little too long in the tooth. Lemieux got a little too long in the tooth. Okay. I mean, hey, Lemieux did definitely try his limits. And it's funny how Canelo went up in weight to face Bivol. And that was actually a fight. Canelo versus Lemieux was a tantalizing fight to us fight fans about 2 years ago. And I know that Lemieux was promised the fight if he performed well on the undercard of one of Canelo's bouts 2 years ago. And he won his fight without a problem. But then we saw that fight never materialized.
Right.
So after, COVID and the layoffs and things like that, he came right in and, he got one extra win with the KO. Right. And then he went right after the top echelons of 168 that was available to him, which was David Lemieux. So you can't say nothing bad about David Lemieux. I mean, it's just not his weight class, but I mean, he wants to make money just like everybody else. He got bills, and I mean, the opportunity was there, and he took that chance. He actually took the chance. And not to mention that he proved that he was quite the warrior in there. I mean,
oh man, he showed a lot of heart.
Yeah, like that was like a strong, like trying to fight, even though he was buzzed out of it.
That's what I was most impressed with was his heart. getting up, man, when it looked like it was over with. I think he made it through the next round, and he kept going. I think what was his corner threw it in the towel, or I forgot exactly how it ended, but he was going to go out on his shield. So I give David Lemieux all the heart in the world, for hanging in there when nobody really act like nobody wants to fight David Benavidez.
Yeah,
all the top guys. You see what he said.
People that are actually in that 168-pound division haven't, approached the subject. Right. But Lemieux, he took that challenge. So I'm not mad at it, but I can't get too excited about Benavidez at this point until I see him face some real opposition at his actual weight.
Well, I like what Benavidez said at the end of his interview when they asked him, what about top guys out there? And Benavidez said, them bitches know what's up.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So I like what he said.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do with these guys, because otherwise they would keep avoiding him for another year and another year. So yeah, make them feel cowardly. Do whatever you got to do to get them in the ring so you can get that elusive championship.
Right.
And a little of it, I feel like, has to do with that karma when you get the belt like twice and you kind of like don't appreciate it enough to defend it in the ring. Now he's lost the title that second time, and it's like now it's more elusive for him to even get a chance to fight for it. And that's the type of things that can happen when you're given things and it's like it's an easier path for you to receive something like that championship in the beginning. So
would you like to see Benavidez fight next?
I want to see him move up to 175, really, because I just feel like, ain't nobody trying to face him at 168. And he's already kind of like stayed at that weight class for quite a while, waiting for this elusive fight with Canelo. There's action to be had for him at 175 really pretty easily.
Then there was some politics that played after the win. This fight was supposed to have been for like the mandatory for the WBC that Canelo got. Then it turned around and said that Canelo's not obligated to fight Benavidez because he's the franchise champion. So that was some politics that was thrown in the game that I didn't like, because I wanted Benavidez, to put more pressure in, for the Canelo fight. Now they're saying Canelo's a franchise champion, so he's not obligated to fight Benavidez. So that's more politics.
That's something that we already knew, though. We already knew that super championship belt was one in which it's not necessarily something that will mandate you to have to fight your number one contender or your regular champ. Right. So, but at the same time, it's like just reiterating the fact, like, yeah, this, if Canelo don't want to fight him, we're backing that. That's what that post was for me. But that's the way they want to play it. That's the way they want to play it. But it doesn't look good for someone that's an undisputed champion to be running around and people, posting and pretty much protecting him from Benavidez. Right. Like that doesn't look good either. Like he shouldn't need that.
It don't look like Canelo was interested in being the undisputed super middleweight champion until Benavidez, didn't have no belt. Then it looked like Canelo was, he was interested then,
You've been saying that for quite a while. And I do have to agree with you is that's the moment where he's like, yeah, now, bam, this is my opportunity to get this undisputed, this undisputed status without actually having to fight who most people feel is the number one. Yeah.
He saw a weak link where he was able to get in there and get those belts. But he didn't have that same drive when Benavidez was champ.
Exactly. And we want to see, let's see what Danny Santiago says, our Hall of Famer. He says, I'd like to see Andrade against Benavidez.
That's a good fight right there. I like to see that. And Andrade, he seemed like he's willing to fight guys. He's just on the wrong side of the street. He's with the zone, ain't he?
Yes, he is with the zone, but that contract is ending. He is also recovering from some type of injury. I don't know if he had surgery for it or not, but his fight was recently canceled that he did have. Of course, it was facing another UKer that we don't really know the name of. So it is looking like it's my understanding from some of my colleagues at Heavyweight Boxing. They're saying that, they might, that Eddie Hearns is probably and DAZN probably will not pursue a renewal of their contract with Andrade. So there again is another person that could be put in the mix to be on the right side of the street.
Do like Bud, man, or be a free agent, because being with the zone, all the guys he fought, you know, I wasn't really happy with hardly none of them opponents while he was on the zone, you know. So hopefully he can get out that contract, either, you know, get with PBC, Al Heyman, or just be a free agent, you know, like Bud or whatever, you know, and then we could hopefully see these fights.
I mean, it was pretty disgusting to me that you had all these middleweights signed to DAZN at one time, and then none of those matchups ever happened, you know, because it was Andrade, Triple G, Canelo, and a couple of other BJ Saunders. It was a couple of other of them. It was like 5 at least of them that were signed over to DAZN and Matchroom, and that none of those matchups ever happened. The only matchup that happened was BJ against Canelo, out of all those names mentioned. And we're just now getting back around to Canelo versus Triple G, which we will talk about in a minute. Shout out to Rob from the UK. He says it's midnight and he's got the munchies, baby. He's over there eating on some.
What you eating, Rob?
What is this? Some chorizo and cheese top combo. All right.
Hey, that sounds good,
yeah,
Rob.
Delicious. I mean, why not?
That sounds good.
Let's see.
That sounds like a good snack too before the fights Saturday.
Yes. And he said they should bring a new rule in that fighters have to fight 4 times yearly minimum. Less the division flowing. They like too lazy these days.
I like that too, the 4 fights, man, because now these guys fight once or maybe twice a year, and then you got to wait a whole another year to see these guys fight. You know, it's some good fights just getting, and that's when we were talking about the YouTubers are sneaking in, because you know these main guys ain't fighting, so that's giving the YouTubers room to come in and entertain the people. You know, and that's what's happening.
I mean, they're leaving a gap there. I was listening to Danny Santiago last night on Latin America's version of the show, which is for our Spanish-speaking audience. They can actually see Danny and hear Danny with some of the Latin Spanish-speaking boxers and boxing community.
Shout out to Wednesdays. Angel for being on that too.
Yes, on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And basically, he was saying that, you know, a lot of it has to do with the finances now. You know, back even when he was fighting, he says that, you know, you had to stay busy so you could keep your money up. But now these guys are getting paid so much money for one fight that it kind of like leaves them less hungry. You know, they're okay with the 2 fights a year.
Right.
But let's see what else we got here.
Same thing with Keith Thurman. We waited a long time to see Keith get back in the ring. He had a fight, and I haven't heard no upcoming fights from him at all. So, you know, we want to see some more out of Keith Thurman, you know, before the year is over.
Right. Well, everybody is keeping his name in the mix, and I believe he's trying to negotiate a fight either with Conor Ben or who else is calling him out? Boots. Ennis Boots was calling him out. And it was one more person that in that welterweight division that was wanting to fight him. So he has some options. I guess they're just trying to fill out what would be the best route for him.
See, now he's getting caught in this whole nother generation of these young guys coming up now.
Right, but he shouldn't be the only one that's caught up in that next generation, right? Well, but Crawford should be, as well as Errol Spence should be.
Well, see, those guys they like 1 or 2 fights from jumping up to another weight class. Them 2 guys.
I feel like it's a consequence of Sean Porter going ahead and retiring. There's like you can no longer use Sean Porter as a measuring stick for the top 5-pounder welterweights. Now you got to go to some of these other guys that you've been kind of not wanting to fight because of either their skill level or, you know, that the power they possess or what have you. So I think this is all a consequence of Sean Porter not being in play anymore. Shout out to my dad, Ronan. We appreciate you coming on tonight. And let's see what Rob also says here. And the only rematches should only be if the champ loses his belt, because a lot of fights get tied up in rematches. And yeah, I love a good rematch, Rob. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the one we just had 2 weeks ago with Charlo versus Castano, it proved to be worthy of a rematch. But sometimes some of these rematches go on too long. You know what I'm saying? Like, like 4 fights, 5 fights. It's like just pick one. They can win on any day. Like after 3 fights, you kind of know, like, this could go either way.
It took almost 2 years for that whole rematch to play out between Charlo
and Castano.
Yeah, I mean, before we see them fight again, it might be like almost 2 years, with them just dealing with each other.
Oh yeah, for sure, because they were going to cancel the first time that they were going to do the rematch. Remember, it got rescheduled because Brian Castano had an elbow injury. So now that also is something that can happen when you do these rematches. But Rob is on to some good points here tonight.
Rob, I miss the old Mike Tyson days when Mike was fighting once a month, man. When before he got to the title, Mike was fighting every month, man. I miss those kind of activity.
Absolutely. I mean, I know Rob does too. Let's see what he says about that. Hard for them outside the top 10 to ever get their chance to fight one of them. Okay. He's saying it's hard for anybody to outside of that top 10 to ever get a crack at these top 10 or top 5 welterweights or of any division, rather, if they're busy, constantly in rematches. Okay, I hear you on that one.
That's why they be entertaining all these other guys with all these other belts, these silver belts and interim belts, and it's like that keep them other guys occupied, while these other guys taking forever to defend the main belts.
Right, I understand, but listen, we got to move on. We're going to go ahead to the announcement this week that Triple G versus Canelo is a real thing, and that is probably the direction that Canelo is deciding to go in next. So how do you feel about this? And do you think that he should have pursued the Bivol fight next, as he said in the ring?
No, I think he should have, stayed away from that Bivol fight. This Triple G fight, I don't know. I watch it. I definitely, I think it's a good matchup. I don't know if it's a little late, maybe the fight should have happened a year or two ago or whatever, the trilogy. But, we still going to tune in, to see what happens. At this point, I feel like Canelo has more of the edge over Triple G, with the youth and coming into his prime and Triple G getting older. So I would most definitely lean more towards, Canelo in this trilogy fight.
Yes, I would lean more towards Canelo in this fight for multiple reasons, but the main one for me is, how you gonna put Triple G at 168? I mean, we're gonna be sitting up here seeing just a repeat of Benavidez versus Lemieux with Triple G at 168. That is over his weight class to me.
Andre Ward was trying to get him to come up at one time, but he didn't want to, come up back then.
Exactly, because he knows, like, that's just a recipe. I mean, he's an older fighter now at this point, and also the weight that combined together to me spells for a situation where he is going to be awfully fatigued early.
Right.
And Canelo also is not going to come in at 168. Let's be real. He's not going to come in at 170. Let's be real. He's going to be right back. He's going to be where he's at right now for that last Bivol fight at 175. Right. So it's no need in us like trying to disguise this situation. And I just feel like, this is one of those fights that's past his prime. But I do feel that as it gets closer to that actual night, we're going to see some more excitement and people really getting hyped up and taking sides and different things. And who knows, Triple G could come in the best shape of his life because, he's really not motivated by some of the previous 2 fights that he's had since COVID began. He's more or less interested in that Canelo rematch and revenge fight. So we may not have seen the best of Triple G in these last 2 fights. Just saying.
Yeah, I would like to see Canelo, fight Triple G and just stay at that super middleweight, and fight some of them top young guys up in that division before he jump up and fight Bivol again,
Yeah, you're right. Let's see what Rob is chiming in and helping us out with. He says, hard for them outside. Oh, he already said that. Hold on. The next one is, yeah, man, Tyson was eating them up for fun. Laugh out loud.
Once a month.
And that's why he can go to the UK right now for an exhibition and make bucos money, because people like Rob remember how he, used to be in that ring.
Right.
And he also says, oh, they got more belts than Gucci.
Right. Hey, that's true.
Okay.
I like that.
So with Canelo Triple G, he says we will always want to see Canelo and Triple G for sure. We'll be.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna watch. We definitely gonna watch.
Yeah, that's gonna be some serious money, a serious money maker, right? And I think that also contributed to the reason, Rob, that DAZN wanted Triple G to be next, because people in the States have been hearing rumors about DAZN not being in the best financial shape. And so they might have been like, look, this done dragged on too long. That was one of the fights that when you got this $300 million contract, knew you was going to have to face. Plus, we've already signed a contract for Triple G to have this kind of, he had a historic type of contract when he was signed with DAZN, with the promise he was going to be able to fight Canelo too. So they might have put their foot down and been like, nah, this fight is going to happen, and it's going to happen on Mexican Independence Day.
You know what? This fight could turn out to be a classic, because I remember when Ali and Frazier fought the third time, a lot of people thought that fight was past and Frazier was no more good after Foreman, destroyed him. So, maybe Triple G and Canelo might put on a classic, like Ali and Frazier did.
Right. Ali and Frazier.
Even people thought they was past, their trilogy.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. Like, emotions get involved, and sometimes you just see how they can come in way better mental and physical shape because they're fighting who they actually wanted to fight.
And like the Hearns and Leonard rematch was like almost 8 or 9 years later, but that turned out to be a classic with Hearns and Leonard, the second fight.
Right.
So it was way past, it's time, but it still turned out to be a very entertaining fight. So hopefully Triple G and Canelo put on a classic for everybody.
Yeah, and it's the hype of it. You know what I'm saying? So basically, it's the hype of like not knowing.
Right.
That I feel is going to make it a buzz later.
Right.
Closer to the fight that it gets in September. And Danny says that Canelo needs to stay away from Bivol for a minute.
I agree with that, Danny. I totally agree with that, man. Bivol's always going to be there, man, for Canelo. So I'll hold off on that. And
then Rob, I agree with Rob on this one. Canelo should have had that third fight instead of running off to the next weight.
Definitely.
Yeah, it cost him a L on his record.
And he thought he underestimated Bivol. He thought he was the weakest link in that light heavyweight, and so he chose him. And he wasn't. Bivol wasn't what he thought he was. So I think Canelo kind of underestimated Bivol.
Absolutely. He did. But at the same time, he was warned. And, sometimes those records can be kind of deceiving, too, because Bivol didn't look like he had actually fought too much opposition other than he had the name Joe Smith on his record. Right. Other than that, we didn't really see him. And I don't mean no disrespect to Joe Smith, but he's a certain type of fighter. So it'll make you look like you're, better than you are sometimes when you're fighting someone of less skill and like more power. Joe likes to move straight forward, and he's right there to be, there. So it can make you look good. So I think that's what Canelo's team might have got deceived by a little bit. They were like, oh, well, he probably just looked good against Smith.
Canelo, just think about it. Before that fight, Canelo was like way ahead of himself. He was thinking about fighting that dude, the cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Then he was talking about fighting Usyk, if Usyk could meet him at 200 pounds. So he was like way ahead of himself, man, underestimating Bivol and all that. So I think he got a reality check,
but they were gonna have him fight a cruiserweight, which was the other fighter. Yeah. They were gonna have him do that before he even came to that 175 with with Bivol. So it's like, you know, he really felt like he could beat the guy that was the current title holder. Man, but then he realized
weight classes are here for a reason now.
Yeah, true.
You know, you can have skills, but sometimes a man can be just too big for you. An average man can still be too big for you. You know, that's why we got weight classes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Rob says with great boxers, there is always a good fight.
Definitely.
Well, I agree. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, he does say, he does concur with you when he says he was a cloud cuckoo land, like he was cloud nine is what we say over here, Rob. But she said cloud cuckoo land. I mean, yeah, he was on cloud nine. I mean, he was riding that high from all them DAZN opponents that they had offered up to him, and believing the hype. You know, so maybe that, I mean, it can be a situation where maybe that loss is going to be exactly what he needs to kind of like hone in on his skills a little bit and become a better, stronger, faster, more skillful Canelo. Because we've seen in the past where he has learned from his, you know, losses. He's learned a lot in his losses. So this probably won't be any different. Like next time he gets up there with Bivol or anybody else at 175, he gonna have a serious game plan.
Let's see what Danny said. Danny said, Usyk, oh no, oh. He said he's a different
animal.
He's a different animal, definitely. I think Canelo, man, I don't know. Canelo was thinking he was Superman. He was thinking he could just do whatever he want to do, man. I can jump up and weight, come back down, jump back up and weight, hit these dudes in the arm, and that's it. But hey,
it's a different game when you in there. That's what they say. That's what Mike said, right? Until you get hit, it's a different situation. So now we're going to move on from that topic because we want to talk about Gervonta Tank Davis versus Romero. So, I mean, you saw the whole hype this at the media conference today, and the different trolls and different things that Romero is, you know, taking to social media and doing. How do you feel about all that? I mean, do you think this is necessary? Is he for real? Is this hype for the fight, or do he really think he can knock this man out in the first round?
I don't know. The man he's hyping himself up, just like Muhammad Ali when he fought Sonny Liston. You know, a lot of people, he was acting crazy and saying all kind of things, and Ali said he was nervous. He said he had to play crazy to get in Sonny Liston's head. So maybe that's what Rolly doing with Tank. You know, I'm playing crazy. I'm predicting rounds that I'm gonna knock him out in. You know, it's a chapter out of Muhammad Ali's book, and who knows? We have to see if it worked for Rolly.
I mean, I don't know. And I think that's the problem. I think that's what's hyping this fight up more than most fights we watch with Gervonta Tank Davis. And most of the fights he's had, if you notice, it's much easier to come to the prediction that Tank is going to knock somebody out. In this fight, because we don't have as much information and experience in different fights for Romero to take from, and to be honest, in his last two fights, he didn't look that good to me. I mean, it's kind of hard to gauge. It's really trying to, you know, like, dang, do he have a chance or don't he have a chance? Wow. You know, that's what I'm interested in watching this fight for, because I really want to know what chance does he have.
He has a puncher's chance, and he's awkward, you know, so he has a chance, you know, and he's playing these mind games with Tank. I don't know if that's affecting Tank or not, but and he's hyping his own. He could be hyping his own self up, you know, to do this. So we'll see. I'm interested. I'm hyped for it, man. I'm loving the press conferences, you know, the animosity, you know, that's going on back and forth. You know, it's got me excited. I can't wait to see it.
Well, Danny says it's like Flavor Flav says, don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. Great hype guy.
He's a great hype guy. Okay.
He's selling the fight, Danny. He's selling it.
Yes. And then Rob says Ali got in everybody's head, but he could back that shit up. He could back it up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what Rolly got to do. You know, he got to, if he's going to take a chapter from Muhammad Ali, you're going to have to back it up, man.
Oh, look, we haven't seen Dylan in a while. Dylan, what's up? From Chi-Town, okay? Rolly, he says, Rolly is a clown playing that part. Dude just selling the fight.
Wow,
that's 3 for 3. Everybody thinks that he's just hyping up the fight.
I really think he really got the power to land on Tank and do some damage, because he feel like Tank been hurt by smaller guys. So he's really, he's really believing in his power that he's going to catch Tank. So I believe Rolly's selling the fight, and I do think he believe he can hurt Tank if he catch Tank.
I mean, of course he does. I mean, what else is he supposed to do? He has this opportunity. He might as well believe in himself. Ain't nobody else gonna believe in you unless you do as a starting point. And like he's saying, he's the only one besides YouTubers that's gotten this pay-per-view opportunity. At 16 fights.
Right.
So he has a reason to believe in himself. His mouth has talked him into this fight, just as Gervonta Tank Davis has said. However, will it help him win the fight? Because the talking is over once you get in the ring. As Tank did point that out.
Yeah, he got to back it up, man.
He's like, the time for talk is over. We finna get
back it up, so we'll see.
Yes. And let's see. Oops, I almost skipped somebody. Rob says, Rolly gonna roll over. And then Danny says, but to be honest, either way, he's laughing right to the bank. Mm-hmm. Well, that's true, but I am hearing all kinds of different rumors and conspiracy theories, etc. And the one that I most had me curious was, gym rats talking in the gym, and they basically are saying things like, well, Tank's contract is up with Mayweather Promotions, and Rolliness will remain at Mayweather Promotions. So why not, if he beats Tank somehow, some way, why not would they allow Rolly to take over the mantle for Tank in his pay-per-view stardom? Because they see where he got the talk game.
Right.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Tank is obviously leaving Mayweather Promotions, so they definitely invested in Rolly, and I'm sure they hoping Rolly could win this fight. Tank might need to knock Rolly out. Who knows what these judges are, how these judges going to see things. But Rolly is part of the Mayweather, Promotions, and so I'm sure they hoping they got win. Since Tank is leaving.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably hoping. Well, let's put it this way. Here, I didn't finish telling you what the gym rats are saying. So they are predicting that if Tank doesn't completely knock out Rolly and Romero makes it to the decision, they are predicting that decision is going to go to Rolly. They saying that he's finally not going to be protected by the Mayweather brand and the PBC and the Al Hamer brand.
They feel like Tank might get robbed if he don't stop Rolling. That's how they feeling.
I don't want to say robbed, but basically they're saying it could be a lot closer than people think on the scorecards. And if it is a close fight that ends up going the 12 rounds, that leaning could possibly maybe allegedly go to Rolly just based on the fact that he was the one that still will be in contract. Right. I don't know how true this is, because I think after this fight, both of them, there's room enough in boxing for both of them to still be stars. Right. If it is a close fight and Rolly does live up to the hype somewhat, but I don't want to feed into that. But I will say that, we all know that politics does exist in the sport. So it's not completely, you can't completely rule it out either.
Also, we got some young talent on that undercard.
Yes. But hold on, let's get to our comments so we can get to who else is on the card. So Dylan says, I can't take Rolly seriously with that voice.
What about when Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out? Did you take his voice serious back then? No. Mike was knocking everybody out. Did he sound like he was going to hurt anybody?
Oh, my Lord. This is so funny. And then Rob says, when's the fight? It's this weekend, Rob. Saturday night on Showtime Boxing. But it is a pay-per-view. I don't know how they're going to do that over in the UK. If Sky Sports, sometimes they team up with Sky Sports for you guys. I'm not sure, but it will be on Showtime Boxing on Saturday night. And then Danny says, I don't think so. Tank is the man. And then Rob says the judges are worse than Amber Heard.
Oh, you're talking about the one going with what's his name? X
going after
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yeah. And then Chuck, what's up, Chuck? Shout out to him. He says so true. And then Dylan starts laughing because he's laughing at your Mike Tyson impersonation, which, by the way, is pretty good.
You can't let voices fool you.
Yeah.
You know. Danny
says Luis Melendez on his way up. And then Rob says, yeah. Laugh out loud. And then Rob said, I will find a way around. He said, I'll find a way around it for free. All right. I feel it. But you know what? When the boxing gods give us what we want, we must learn how to show our appreciations with the pay-per-view dollars. Right. I'm not paying for these fluffer fights now. That is something we're not going to do. But when they finally give us something that I'm kind of hype about and that I like, and I like the matchups and different things like that, I do try to pay with our dollars, and show that we appreciate the real deal type fights so they can understand that I want to see the competitive fights, and that's what I'm willing to pay for. So we boxing fans got to kind of stick together on that so we can send them subliminal messages through them stats that we want what we want, and this is what we're going to pay for.
Shout out to the golden child, Carice Taz Brown, baby.
Carice is in the building. Okay, the golden child is in the building.
Getting ready for that Hall of Fame weekend.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Let's see. I got Ralphie on here, too. Let's see what Ralphie got to say. Their points going to get took off from Davis versus Romero. It might be a dirty fight, but Davis will win. All right. I like that Ralphie's predictions. He does a pretty good job. And that is right. Shout out to Carice Taz Brown.
Tank was worried about Rolly's elbows, and Rolly was talking about Tank with the low blows and the rabbit punches.
They ain't gonna do none of that. I don't know who's the ref, because I can tell you right now they already on to it based on their mouths.
I hope they come at each other like Hearns and Hagler. Just go right at it.
Yeah, that's true. Let me see what happened to my thing here. It ain't coming on there. But listen, here it go. Florida Boxing Hall of Fame fight. We're talking about June 17th. It's our fight night with T&K Boxing Promotions, and we got Carice Taz Brown, known as the Golden Child, as one of the main matches on the card. And she's a great prospect that's coming up the ladder in the lightweight division. And there's a lot of talent out there. And speaking of which, talent, okay, we're going to talk about this talent. The talent we want to talk about is Jaleel. Jaleel Hackett is on the undercard of this particular bout with Showtime Boxing. That's what I want to see. So shout out to the DC native on his being on that card. And then also straight from Milwaukee, we got Lewis. Is his name Arias?
Arias.
Yes, Arias is on the card.
Cuba.
And he's straight off his W that he had against Jared Hurd.
Right.
So that's another going to be a great next
Cuba
talent.
Fighting?
I didn't see who his matchup was. You catching me off guard a little bit.
Wow.
Been a busy week, guys.
Hey, when you said Carice Taz Brown, you made me think it's been a couple women fights been made.
Yes. Now speaking on talent again. Now speaking on other talent, we got Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields being made. That fight is scheduled for September, possibly as a date. Right now that we're hearing, but the contract is signed, so we can look forward to seeing that middleweight undisputed title bout coming up soon, and it's going to be actually delivered through Sky Sports. boxing. You know what? Shout out to these promotional companies that's finally turning around that corner, okay, and giving us that talent, them matchups. And speaking on that, we got Top Rank also putting their money where their mouth is, winning the bid for Michaela Maris to face Alicia Baumgardner, the bomb. That's right. That's gonna be another big female fight.
That'd be good if they was on the same card, wouldn't it?
No,
it wouldn't. All women's card.
No, because both of them deserve to be main events. Sorry.
True.
Yeah, don't play me now. Don't play me now.
I was just thinking about the all women card. That's all.
No, they did that already.
That's too much for your money. That's too much.
Yeah. All these ladies right here for these undisputed titles. These undisputed statuses, they deserve that main event, just like the guys receive. And on top of that, you know, I want to give them credit for finally coming around with the promotions, you know, but at the same time, and the distributors, but at the same time, you only doing this because you seen how badass Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor was, and how much the crowd actually still came out and supported them. Plus the pay-per-view buys were more than what they expected. So they not doing it out of the kindness of their heart or the fact that they think these women earned it. They doing it because them dollars, baby.
You know what Rob said, for 30 years, Sky Sports been putting on good fights.
Absolutely. I mean, Sky Sports was on the map until I don't know what happened with him and Matchroom, but you know, it's kind of like that's when this whole DAZN app came about and started messing up fight nights and
Rob,
stuff.
is Box Nation still around? I know it's only available in the UK. Box Nation.
Yeah, but we'll have to wait until he responds. Let's see what else is we got up here.
Man, all these good fights being
Boxing, Danny, Rob, Sky Sports, and BT Sports still around.
What about Box Nation?
Box Nation is the one he's asking about, Rob. And then Ralphie says, they already talk about Emmanuel Neverette versus Oscar Valdez. If it happened, it over for Valdez.
Valdez.
So you saying if Valdez gets another L on his record, damn, that's a tough fight for Valdez because Neverette is huge in that division. And he knows how to close his show. You know, he's a closer.
Right.
So, if I were Valdez at that point, I might have to consider moving back down and wait if he can't pull out that W there. But, you know, we know he just lost to Shakur Stevenson as well. So even if they're in talks, it's probably going to be a while before he can get back in the ring because Shakur was putting it on him. Like, there got to be some healing time. That was a rough fight.
Then you got the other fight, the Monster and Donaire rematch coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's another really good fight that I'm definitely looking for. And we know for a fact, them suckers is clean. Like, that's a clean one. Them pads is not in motion for that right there.
Now I'm just waiting for Bud and Earl to sign the paper, man. We need this fight this year.
Yeah, if we had that one, we would have a home run year for sure with all the women's matchups that we wanted. And then earlier this year, we wrapped up the Fury Wilder trilogy. So yeah, we had the Charlo Castaño undisputed. We had Shakur Stevenson making his premier contender status. It's been a lot of great boxing so far. Rob says yes, they still are around.
Okay.
And then he says DAZN
still in
a few big fights. Right. Yes, of course.
Yeah, I used to hear a lot about Box Nation before DAZN came. I don't hardly see nothing on Box Nation no more. That's why I was curious if they still around.
Yeah, we don't get those.
We
memos
can't get that over here, Box Nation.
They got the IP address messed up for us, Rob, over here when it comes to the
Box Nation.
Well, all of the UK and European
sports, so
no, we don't.
Oh, we just on the
you got but you know, if you can get that VPN number on, change that IP address, then you can see it still. But we'll see what else he's saying about this. The fights were all free once
of a day. Yeah.
Once of a day.
Back in the day.
because people were they wasn't getting paid that kind of money they getting paid now. So, you know, the distributing TV networks could pay enough to the promoter. The promoter could get their cut. Then the guys got their cut, and the pay-per-view was once a year, maybe twice a year for the big fights.
I'm trying to think what was the first major big pay-per-view. I don't know if it was Ali and Frazier. The first fight was like, I don't know if that was some kind of pay-per-view for that fight back in the day.
Yeah, he says get a VPN, then you can watch any channel from around the world. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I mean, listen, I know a couple of things about that, but like I said, I do still like to reward the bigger fights that I feel are great matchups with an actual pay-per-view vibe. Like, that's only fair. You give me what I want, I'm gonna pay you for it. I wish some of our clients would feel that way. All right, so I did want to go ahead and mention the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame fight again for you all, and it's gonna be, let's see. Oh, we talked about that. It's gonna be June. We've got the fight coming up. Here we go. 17th. June 17th, which is a Friday, with the TNK Boxing Promotions card. And we've got the Eventbrite as the place where you can go ahead and purchase your tickets if you're in the Tampa Bay area. It will be at the St. Petersburg Clearwater Marriott here on Roosevelt Boulevard. And that's on Friday night. And then you can also go to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame.com website. That you can do. Well, let's just say it like this. You can go to their website and you could just book your room, or you could get the tickets for the gala dinner and the expo on Saturday, or Sunday's actual breakfast and the actual induction ceremony for the 2022 class. You could do that too on there, or you could buy a package that includes the entire weekend. You can also decide that you want to be a sponsor or an advertiser for that weekend's event. Once again, that site is www.floridaboxinghalloffame.com. Now, shout out to everybody that's been involved and working so hard, like Mary and Bob and Steve and Dahlia and TNK Boxing, Kalia and Jesus, Matchmaker, Joey Orduna. So many people that are in play when it comes to making these things happen. And we're looking forward to a great year. Of course, I'll be there, as well as Emilio Santana. He'll be available for you guys all night to party, to have fun, to talk about the latest fights, to take pictures. And then you can see me hosting and interviewing some of the winners in our winner's circle for TNK Boxing.
I had a great fight last weekend we was at.
Yes. Now, shout out to some of our greatest and latest boxing wins from last weekend. That is with Intro Box, Bally Sports, as well as Box Lab. Over in Orlando at the Caribe Royale, we had the winner, Sean Untouchable Mason, who you saw a couple of weeks ago. He was in a tough fight, guys. He had a game opponent. Wasn't none of that fluff stuff there. Sean kept his composure, stayed on target, and got the W early.
Right.
And then we also had a winner from someone that's in St. Petersburg training, but from Ireland, which is Connor the Kid Coyle. And he won his fight, and he also had one of those type of boxers that was really in it and thought they could get the upset. And he almost did. And he is from Atlanta, his opponent, so shout out to him. We just had a great night that night. There were other winners like Christopher Diaz. He was the main event. He got a W. What amazing power that guy has. I mean, he's somebody that you guys should definitely look out for. he actually lost one of his fights to Shakur Stevenson's early in his career. So he's just working his way back up the ladder. But definitely we had a great time. You had a great time?
Yeah, definitely. And we had a few fighters in there too, like King Kong, Luis Ortiz was in there.
Yes.
BJ Flores was in there.
Yes.
The Vito. Man, how you say Vito on the last name?
Don't ask me. I cannot pronounce that. Malinsky. What is it?
He was in the house.
But very nice guy, very nice gentleman. Him and his father was in the house for sure. King Kong always willing to take pictures with everybody. He got up like 1 million times that night taking pictures with different people that requested. And of course, BJ Flores was on the commentator. Yes, working that mic.
Oh, Rob answered my question. He said Floyd Patterson and Ingemar Johansson, the third fight.
Where you seeing that at?
You gotta go all the way.
Okay.
Hold on. He said $2?
1960.
He said that was the first pay-per-view. I learned something tonight, Rob, because I didn't know that was the pay-per-view.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for letting us know that.
I could afford that.
The first pay-per-view was $2.
Man, I would have been glad to pay them $2.
I mean, for a Floyd Patterson. Now that you think about it, like, really? Dang.
Oh man, I remember he knocked Johansson. I think it was his second fight, and Johansson's foot was twitching.
We are getting robbed these days at $80 and $90. Yeah.
Rob, you remember that when Floyd knocked Johansson out and his foot was just twitching? He hit him with a left hook.
Oh my. Yeah, and that's what he's saying too. He said the channels used to bid for the fights and other sports. Right. And now the promoters bid for the fight, and then they decide, they go in with a bid partly with whatever channel they're linked with. So Top Rank and ESPN, Showtime and PBC, Matchroom and what's the name of DAZN? Like they all are matching up, bids. The first pay-per-view fight, actually it was closed circuit. I had begged my dad for $20 to go see Hearns and Leonard. Yeah, you did. The showdown in Vegas. And he gave it to you. I spent $20, man. I had that ticket for a long time and lost it when I got divorced. But yeah, that was the first fight. That was the first fight I remember paying money to see, man. I couldn't wait to see Hearns and Leonard fight. They unified. Back then it was just two belts, the WBA and WBC. And that was in September 16, 1981, man. That was the fight right there. I didn't catch the Leonard and Duran fight. I think that was a pay-per-view fight too, when Leonard and Duran fought the first time in Montreal. Right. And the brawl in Montreal. The brawl in Montreal with Duran, baby, and Sugar Ray Leonard. We got to give shout out and thanks to Dahlia Duran for her interpretations and translations for our Spanish speaking audience. So thanks, Dal, the beautiful Dahlia. Got Cheeto on there. Yeah, we got Jesus on here. Cheeto at work. Let's see what he's saying. Oh, he's still at work. Well, shout out to TNK Boxing Promotions. We were just talking about you a few minutes ago with Taz. Taz is going to be our guest next week also, by the way, guys, for our Ladies Night edition, along with one of our 2022 inductees at the Florida Hall of Fame, Claudia Trejos. So that's going to be an amazing night for everybody, too. So please make sure you guys tune in. And, of course, the fights, again, are June 17th. And the rest of the remaining weekend is the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. So the 17th through the 19th. You can find the fight tickets at Eventbrite. You can also go to tkboxingpromotions.com website and get your tickets from there as well through the link that's provided. And then you can go to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame.com for your hotel and tickets for the rest of the festivities, or a huge package deal for all 3 nights and your hotel. Right. So you can also be a sponsor as well for the fight night through TNK Boxing, or you can be a sponsor or advertiser on the 2022 booklet that the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame has each year too. So just go ahead and remember to support your local boxing, support the Hall of Fame weekend, where we're giving acknowledgments to some of the best in the game. Let's see what he says. He says, that's that pick I showed you, the Montreal Showdown.
Yeah,
remember?
Ray Leonard and Duran.
Yep. And Dahlia says, my pleasure, anytime. All right. And then Ralphie, he's talking about Stephen Fulton versus Ramos.
Daniel Ramos.
Yes, also going to be a good fight. And that's a hard one to pick. Ralphie, you got to pick one. I mean, it was bad enough when Fulton versus Figueroa happened. I actually was favoring Figueroa in that fight. But Stephen Fulton got the nod, got the titles, and now it's time for him to fight the DR, baby. So, I mean, tell me, who do you got? And then you can also tell me who you got for Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero this weekend. Let's go ahead. Taz Brown says her opponent is confirmed. Cool. She is good to go. And then let's see. Rob said he loves watching the classic fights.
Man, Rob, I remember getting HBO just to see Arguello and Aaron Pryor the first fight. Yeah. I remember begging my mom and dad to go get HBO to see that fight. That Aaron Pryor Arguello fight.
You know what? I was just gonna tell the fights. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm still kind of thinking about today. And I mean, I have to think about some of this Gervonta Tank Davis. I have some quotes here. I mean, Gervonta is like, I'm ready and happy to be at this point. The talking is over and the time for fighting is now.
Hey.
And then Rolly says he has a big head for me to hit. I'm not going to say what punch I'm getting him with, but I am going to say, let's see, but you're all going to see on Saturday night, this is ending in one round. So he is still sticking to this one round situation. Guys, who in this chat believes that Romero, Mr. Rolliness, is going to be able to KO Gervonta Tank Davis, whom a lot of us feel has one of the better chins in all of boxing? Now, according to Rolly, he doesn't, because he's like, he gets hit a lot, but that everybody is coming from lower weights, or is coming, like where you start out your career at a lower weight and then you move up when you're really not in that weight class.
Right.
Is anybody got to confirm on that? I mean, does anybody believe that there's a chance that Rolly can actually pull this off? Well, I needs to know. I mean, I got to know.
He definitely got to punch his chance if he can put something together. He got some power. So if he can catch Tank, who knows? But he got to catch Tank. And can he deal with what Tank gonna put on him? Because Tank can hit too.
Oh, Tank, right. He's forgetting that part. The part where he's got power.
Tank got speed and power.
And whose chin hasn't been tested at 16 fights? He's the one that's chin hasn't really been tested.
They keep talking about Rolly power, but Tank can hit too.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of blocked that part out of his mind for the fight night. And of course,
Tank is accurate and he has a high boxing IQ, to go with all that.
I know. I just feel like we never get to see Davis use a lot of his skills. And that makes people feel like he really don't have skills and that it's all, relying on power. But I kind of feel like that's not the case. But I mean, he had a long amateur career, and so you don't get amateur wins and a long amateur career if you don't have some kind of boxing skills, because you're fighting with hats on and helmets and all bigger gloves, So I feel like people are always underestimating Gervonta's actual skill level.
And I gotta Rob. He said, "Thank God for YouTube, man." I was just thinking today. I was like, man, I wish we had YouTube back in the day. But I was thinking about wrestling at the time. thinking about all the different wrestling organizations and territories that I wanted to see, man. And now you could just look at all that on YouTube, man. I wish I had that as a kid to look at the different, territories and all the old boxing matches. You had to wait for ESPN to come out and have that Friday, those specials where they would show a classic fight every now and then, man. But YouTube, man, that would have been so ideal back in the day, man. As a kid, I would have loved that.
Well, we want to send a great little confirmation and appreciation, basically, of TNK Boxing Promotions, who are sponsors for tonight's show. And leading up into the TNK Boxing Promotion Fight Night for the Hall of Fame, we'll be going ahead and giving them their props, as props is due. And then Taz, she does say, hey, I got the tickets in hand tomorrow. So go ahead and hit her up, because, there's no excuses now. You got Cash App, Zelly. Go ahead and shoot her them money for them tickets, and she'll just give you the tickets to Fight Night. Or Lady Ram will one. If you are for a women's boxing, as you say you are, then let's go ahead and pull out them dollars and show them a little gratitude and a little respect for their craft. Purchase those tickets and let people know that women can sell tickets too. So that's for all of our people in St. Petersburg, Florida, as well as people from other states that want to travel in and just have an amazing weekend. Because I'm going to tell you one thing, no matter what go down, Boxing PlayHouse is there, and we will be partying, and we will be celebrating all weekend long for all these inductees, from Shannon, the Cannon Briggs, to, let's see, who else do we got? David Tua, Frez Okendo, Ice Cold,
Corey Spinks,
David Armstrong, Chris Young, our young referee is getting an achievement award.
Joey Orduna
is receiving his 2022. Phil Alexi is also getting it.
The lady,
Claudia Trejos is also getting her award. She'll be on the show next week on Ladies Night.
Right.
And then, of course, it's just the small people like Tim. He's with the Boxing Commission. Tim Shipman. He's getting what you call a Lifetime Achievement Award. So these are all people that deserve, that do respect, and have been in the game for quite some time and really dedicated their life to the sport. Right. Let's go ahead and support that as much as we can.
Definitely.
I wanted to also pinpoint something that Danny was saying, because I did ask for everybody.
What Danny said.
About the Tank situation and Rolly. Rolly doesn't even believe it.
You don't believe it?
You know what, Danny? I usually agree with you, but on this one, I don't. I think that he really believes that he is going to be able to do this. He has talked himself in believing that this is what's going to happen. And Rob says he doesn't know enough about the two, but just go to Showtime Boxing and go ahead and look at some of the lead-ins for these fights this weekend, and you'll be surprised at how serious this is getting. Dillian says Rolly's gonna fold after one body punch, and maybe Tank will go to the body on him. He likes the uppercut, but I mean the body is a good one. What does he say?
Scenarios that could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Tito
he says we thank them for their service. Yes, for sure. You saw Tito responding up here again.
What Tito say?
Oh, I thought you saw his name because you said Tito Ocasio.
Oh, I seen Danny mention him.
Let's see.
Is he getting? Oh, he getting inducted.
He is getting inducted. That's right. There's a coach. That is right. That's Tito getting Ocasio. Inducted from the Ocasio gym. What's his gym name?
John 3:16-17.
Yes, John 3:16-17. We saw one of his boxers with Danny last night on the Latin America version of the show. Angel Ilaraza. He'll be fighting on that fight night on the 17th, which is the Friday, June 17th. So he's also, one of those people that are finally getting their dues. And we just appreciate everybody that dedicates their time. And I'm hoping that I see Sherman Hitson in the house. Yes, because Sherman really does need to make sure that he's here for that weekend. I want to see him, and it's about damn time. So he better not disappoint me, or else it's over. He's in
Sherman.
Big trouble. Guys, I don't know. Danny Mike can tell you. Emelio can definitely tell you. Dahlia can tell you. You don't want to be on my bad side. Oh, no, you don't want to, because I'm so nice. But when it get bad and I get agitated, it's not very pleasant. Oh, no. It can go all the way left. Can't it, baby?
Yep.
Did it go all the way left last night? He saw me upset last night, y'all. Just last night it happened.
Not with me.
No, not with him. But he was there to see when I hit that limit, when somebody crossed them barriers. All right. So let's see. I think that killer instincts are important in the sport. Sometimes, as Rolly says, Davis does get too emotional. I mean, I think that does work out in Rolly's favor. He hasn't been able to get under Rolly's skin the way that Rolly's been able to get under his skin. Just saying. All right, let's see what Danny has to say. He said he does have that dumb strength, but Tank is a beast. Danny, who have you fought that had dumb strength? That's what I'm interested in. And you need to answer very carefully, because I don't want to have an exhibition on the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame Friday night fights featuring Danny Santiago, because he had beef with whoever he's about to say he fought that had dumb power. But I am interested to know, for real though. You got to tell us. All right, Rob says, Emelio knows better to stay on your good side.
Yeah, I'm on the good side.
You know that, British boy. He already knows not to try
right
it.
Here. Right to her left. That's the good side.
You don't always stay on that side, though. You know you be all over here. You know you be all over here. Just all over there. He trying to act like he like to stay on his side, guys. But anyway, so this weekend we got Jaleel Hackett, Major from Mayweather Promotions, also going to be on the undercard, as well as Arias from Cuba by way of Milwaukee.
Luis Arias.
Yes. And so please make sure you check out those two guys, because they're phenomenal boxers. And Jaleel is just he's going to be one of those boxers that's really impressive. That's coming up. Prospect in the welterweight division
out of DC.
Yes. And let's see.
Promotion.
Danny says, the 7 guys that sent me home early, but there's 1 or 2 that would like to get back. That I would like to get back. Oh, okay. So we still might see that exhibition, is what you're saying. Do tell. Danny probably got something in the works he's not ready to share with us. And then Rob says, yin and yang. And then he says that Daddy made him laugh with that dumb strength comment. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Guys, it looks like Shannon Briggs isn't in the house yet, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. I don't know, unless you guys have anything else that you'd like to, talk to us about coming up soon. I don't know, Danny. I we had him scheduled for tonight. That's all I know. And I can't, say anything else about that. The upcoming fights, of course, this weekend we got Gervonta Tank Davis. Next weekend is the Fulton and Roman fight that Ralphie was talking about. That's on the 4th.
Danny, what's Devin Haney fight? Is that next week?
Oh yeah, Devin Haney versus Kambosos is June 4th as well, in which Devin Haney will be traveling without his father or coach in Australia.
That's an ESPN fight, ain't it?
Yes, it will be on ESPN. Go ahead.
I was going to say, him and Tank been having a war of words lately about possibly fighting if each one of them win.
Well, then that would be kind of a rematch almost, right? From their days in the gym.
Tank called him
Mayweather gym.
Tank called Devin Haney an email champion because he was mailed his belt. So he
did email requesting that he receive his belt back because he was no longer injured, and he didn't, the two people that was supposed to fight for the vacant title hadn't fought yet.
Haney got to get past Kambosos. That ain't no walk in the park. Kambosos is tough.
But it does put to the end of this whole debate about WBC regular champ versus super champ and who's the real champion. So I'll be glad to see that part of it.
We also had a loss in the boxing game.
Who?
Gary Russell's daddy.
Oh yes, shout out to Gary Russell's family. Of course, we definitely wish their family many hugs and our condolences for the loss of their father, trainer sensation Gary Russell Sr. And we just found out today that what's his name, the actor I was telling about,
played in the Goodfellas.
Yes, played in the Goodfellas. Ray Liotta. I can't. Liotta. Yeah, he passed away today as well. He did get to pass angel's passing, which is when you pass away in your sleep.
And so, want to send love to the kids that was lost this week.
Right. We definitely got to send our love out to the elementary school, Robb Elementary in Texas, as well as the Buffalo families that lost their loved ones in the shooting there. And there was also an Asian American shooting, where Asian Americans were targeted at a church in California. These are the type of stories that you're only hearing about in the U.S. So, this is something that we still haven't come to grips on and haven't resolved as yet. But, I draw the line at kids, innocent kids, especially at that age. Oh, my goodness. Having to be identified with DNA, it's like nobody should be okay with that. Everybody should be willing to go do what we need to do to stop this kind of senseless violence, especially when it's things that can be avoided. About 90% of people that are involved in these shootings do have some element of being flagged for other things that they've said or done in their past. So there has to be some kind of way that we can fix most of these senseless shootings. Let's see what Danny says. Oh, wait a minute. He says, Davis win by nasty KO. Romero and Ramos win by split decision. Okay. So he believes that Ralphie says that Davis will win, and it's going to be a nasty, funky KO type situation. Where he said a nasty KO.
Ralphie been looking at that crystal ball. He see it.
And he believes that Ramos is going to win against Stephen Cool Boy's staff. Yeah, so I can't disagree or agree with you because
done turned into Nostradamus on us.
Ralphie, tell us your secrets. How you come up with these predictions? Okay, we
so
need
vivid.
to know.
He's so vivid with it.
Yeah, Nostradamus like. And then Danny says, outside of boxing, that prove, what is it? Proverbial original good fellow. And he's saying Ray Liotta passed. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Shout out and prayers to his family and all the fans. And then Rob says, look out for Hamas Shiraz.
What way did he fight, Rob?
Talking about? He said voted young boxer of the year. Okay.
What way did he fight?
What weight is that? We've had some devastating news here lately in the United States in the last 2 weeks with these different shootings and things. And so it's important that when you do see something or somebody acting weird or something crazy, like, go ahead and call the authorities just for the fun of it. I mean, they pick up the phone right away. It's 911. It's not like you gotta be on hold for days, it's you report it, they can check it out, and it's cool. You could have saved somebody's life. You just never know. And then let's see. He says that Sherez, he said, my grandmaster Samuel Kwok had been training him a Wing Chun punch.
Wing Chun punch.
Wing Chun punch. Okay, so he's saying that he has a little bit more, he has some punching power. So we definitely gotta, check that out. Okay. Now, one more time, we do have next month the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame fight. And you can go ahead and get your tickets through Eventbrite for the fight night, and you can get your hotel booked as well as your tickets to all the other festivities like the expo and the dinner gala. Those things, as well as the induction ceremony, you can get those on the website for www.floridaboxinghalloffame.com. And a shout out again to our sponsor for tonight. Well, this week is TNK Boxing Promotions. Guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this show. We've had a great time with you all tonight. Thank you so much for all of your support. We thank you so much. Please make sure you share, like, tweet, YouTube it, subscribe, whatever you can do to help us get the word out here that I'm Sakura A and Emilio Santana is all about boxing, and that we got the skills to know boxing for reals. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week in the same time, in the same place. It's Boxing PlayHouse.
Welcome to the house, the one they talking about, word of mouth, the Boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.